very beautiful Friday morning. Thank you so much for joining us. It is AM Today, the last installment for this week. And of course, if you haven't checked your calendar this morning, it's the 11th day in the month of October 2024. And of course, today ushering us into the weekend. Thank you so much for joining us once again. My name is Sahid Arubisam. I'm not alone on the program. I've got my colleague here.
Good morning, Zahid. Good morning, everyone watching us this morning. It's nice to be here with you. And you know how we do it on the show. Regularly, we take you through the newspaper's headlines. Then we have some topical issues for discussion. This morning is going to be a special edition, I guess.
Definitely a special one. Let's check what the dailies have this morning by taking our first stop to the Daily Trust newspaper, where the current situation as regards the price of petrol is still in the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. And of course, the Independent Marketers Association of Nigeria tackles NNPCL over new petrol price, says oil firm bought product for 899 naira but sells at over 1,000 naira per litre. It will come down. Trading arm of National Oil Company, the assurance of some sorts. Streets deserted as workers, students trek. Another reality. Atiku knocks Tinubu, Amechi calls for protest. You also find TUC seeks reversal of hike. And also in the Daily Trust newspaper, out of school children, threats to national security. It's coming from Vice President Kashim Shettima. Plateau LG poll turns violent as protesters burn motorcycles. You also find here, Borno confirms escape of 6 repentant insurgents. And of course, in the Daily Trust newspaper still, you'll find bandits appoint the polls village heads in many communities. That's coming from Sokoto LG chair. That's part of what you find in the Daily Trust newspaper for today and more, of course.
Alright, from the Daily Trust, let's check the Vanguard. On Vanguard this morning, we have this petrol price hike. Nasema, PDP, Atiku, and CSOs, others insist on reversal. Writers to the story, plight of businesses and households, that's according to Nasema. PDP demands reversal of for increase in petrol price. You have Dangote economical with petrol. TUC government to create special forex scheme for Dangote. Details of this you find on page 5 of Vanguard. So on the Vanguard, safe judiciary from collapse needs total overhauling. Clark writes CJN. Find details of that on page 9 of Vanguard this morning as well. Death penalty. 3,650 inmates on death row nationwide. That's according to the itself. You find details of that on page 6 of the Vanguard this morning. And the Rivers Assembly crisis. Appeal Court affirms Amawuli as Speaker. You find details of that on page 10 of Vanguard this morning. Deny allocations of local governments where selections were done. Senate tells federal government. Details of that you find on page 4 of the Vanguard. Kidnap. Police rescue 6 sports journalists. You find details of that on page 30 of the Vanguard this morning. And finally, from the Vanguard, My husband, not cause of current hardship, Reni Tinubu says. Right, who is responsible there? You can find details of that on page 8 of Vanguard this morning. That will be all from the Vanguard.
All right, from the Vanguard newspaper, let's check some other dailies we have this morning, particularly from the Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune, the bold one in the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, TUC calls for special forex rate from Dangote refinery, wants FG to return petrol price to what it was in June 2023. What's that? What was the price June 2023? If you can still remember, I know that's a wish. Ipman links petrol price hike to deregulation. NNPCL lacks power to fix prices of fuel. That's coming from Falano. Atiku eats Tinubu over hardship. We also find corruption, other vices becoming bane of judiciary. Clark tells CJN. Once various reports on judicial reforms revisited. We also find other headlines in the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Gunmen in Anambra kidnapped journalist traveling to cover Super Eagles match in Uyo. That's a sad one. The conversation around journalists also being a dangerous species in the line of duty. Reps call for suspension of new tax initiatives affecting low-income Nigerians. You also find this here in the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. PDP BOT demands NEC meeting to address internal conflict. Condemns brazen rigging of Edo Gubopo. Also here, appeal court dismisses Fubara's appeal. Voids 800 billion naira budget passed by Edison Ehie Group. The reaction from the Rivers State government. Rivers government adds to Supreme Court. So definitely we've not heard the last of the situation in River State. Army arrests soldier over policeman's death in Lagos. That's it from the Nigerian Tribune for today.
The Daily Times has the story. TUC to federal government, return fuel price to what it was in June 2023. Says there's no government in the world that doesn't intervene in its critical. Atiku slams Tinubu over hardship and policies, including petrol subsidy removal, has inflicted upon Nigeria. Fixing petrol prices illegal against PIA, Falano tells NNPCL. Details of the story you find on page 4 of the Daily Times this morning. Still on the issue of warns of economic fallout and industry closures. Find details of that on page 15 of Daily Times of this morning. Pray for leaders, even in spite of bad situation. So, cancels Nigerians. Find details of that on page 9 of the Daily Times. Lagos government to tackle based violence perpetrated against people living with disabilities. You find details of that on page 10 on the Daily Times. Performance system will enhance service delivery now growth, says the federal government. And away from that, strike. Health workers issue 15-day ultimatum to federal government. You find details of this on the front page of the Daily Times this morning. And also on the Daily Times is the picture there of a Nigerian Navy ship Pathfinder discovered and deactivated illegal refining sites in Bakama in Rivers State. Right, that will be all from the Daily Times this morning.
From the Daily Times newspaper now to the Leadership, the Friday edition of the Leadership newspaper. Boat mishaps kill 1,429 in 4 years. That's on page 4 of the leadership today. Stakeholders express concern, call for stringent measures. Community leaders taxed on awareness, support. We also find here Kwara governor announces 100 million naira support for Kiama victims. And also the question would be, what are we going to be doing before the next mishap would happen? Because it appears reactions will always follow all of these incidents instead of taking proactive measures to really cut what is becoming a trend gradually in Nigeria. Kebbi, Niger, Kwara, and in some other states that have had the incidences of boat mishap due to a lot of reasons, some overloading, some perhaps mechanical issues and all of that. So how well are we going to be spotlighting this issue as a country to ensure that as we're ensuring our roads are safe, waterways are also quite safe for those who will be commuting on that route, commuting on that route. But there's a graphical representation of that, a scene of a mishap in the front page of the leadership where north with highest casualties, poor craft maintenance, night voyages, archaic craft behind incidents. That's according to experts. You also find 396 casualties in 2024 alone. Lagos 21, Adamawa 28, Niger 199, Kwara 100. Delta has 5 casualties, Zamfara 40, Kano 3. And we just hope that that figure will stop there until the end of this year. But let's check some other headlines in the leadership for today. More reactions trail new petrol pump price. Again, court stops Emir Bayero from renovating palace. That's on page 13. FG to integrate mental health care into PHC system. You also find appeal court accuses Fubara of executive recklessness. That's on the Rivers crisis. Pension assets eat 21 trillion naira in August, and police rescue 6 kidnapped sports journalists in Anambra. Good news that we're having the sports journalists on the way to Akwa Ibom Uyo to cover the Super Eagles match, rescued after their moments in with kidnappers after they were kidnapped on the way for that particular encounter. That's it from the leadership for today.
From the leadership, let's check the Nigerian Tribune. Okay, TUC calls for special forex rate for Dangote refinery. Find details of that on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. As appeal court dismisses Fubara's appeal, voids billion naira budget passed by Edison Group. Find details of that on page 3. And from the Nigerian Tribune, check the New Telegraph. On the New Telegraph, Clark writes Kekiriakun says a corruption bane of Nigeria's judiciary. Find details of that on page 2 of the New Telegraph this morning. Amaiwule as Speaker voice Rivers 2024 budget. You find details of that on pages 3 and 4 of the New Telegraph. As writers to the story, abuse of power in Rivers threat to our democracy, says Afeni Ferry. Calls on Tinubu to rein in those using federal might to disrupt states. And on pages 3 and 4 yet, fuel price increase, not hike, but deregulation, says Akpabio. Says 10th Senate ready to effect a paradigm shift. Special forex scheme will crash fuel price. TUC tells federal government. It asks federal government to give marketers licenses to access Dangote fuel. You find details of that on pages 3 and 4 of the New Telegraph this morning. Defense headquarters, Dokubo lacks capacity to bring down military helicopter, says the defense headquarters. I think that's a reaction to, like say, the ranting of Asari Dokubo to shut down defense headquarters helicopter if it flies across his domain again. Alright, details of that you'll find on page 26 of the New Telegraph. Education funding exceed international benchmark. That's according to governors. Shetima decries North's frightening number of out-of-school children. Details of that is on pages 4 and 6 of the New Telegraph this morning. A fuel price hike. Nigeria sinking deeper in poverty hardship. That's according to the former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar. You find details of that on pages 2 and 4 of the New Telegraph. And on page 6, 18 years remain a minimum entry age into universities, minister says. Says decision starts, I think that can get that right, but then 18 years remains minimum age into university, says minister. So check details of that on page 6 of the New Telegraph. And I think there's something about the age of students to sit for the SSC as well. Right, that will be all from the New Telegraph this morning.
The This Day newspaper is here. The This Day newspaper, leading in the front page, caught my attention really because of the potential. And that's what the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, has said. A child out of school today is a serious threat to nation tomorrow, says Shettima. NGF, early marriage, poverty, GBV in the girls' education empowerment. You also find this one, Al-Majiri, out of school children, time bomb, Abiodun warns. FG to launch transformative Vanguard framework to provide quality education. Also hoping that with all of these words that have been used to describe a child out of school, we also take it very, very serious steps to also ensure that we get them back to school. PDP NWC meeting stalemated over attempt to suspend key officials. Crisis deepens. Also here in the front page, Fubara in jeopardy as appeal court nullifies 2024 Rivers budget. Judgment silent on fate of a Mewole-led assembly. It's false. Court didn't reinstate 27 lawmakers. State government clarifies. Also find here above the nameplate of the This Day today, petrol price. In change of style, Apabio asks Nigerians to reduce number of cars they own. Senate President insists markets now fully deregulated. Marketers sell fuel for 1,400 naira per litre across Nigeria. You also find TUC demands special FX rate for domestic crude oil supply, with old allocations to states running caretaker committees. Lawmakers urge FG. And that's it from the This Day newspaper for Friday.
From this day, let's check the Daily Sun. From the Daily Sun this morning, we have this. Anxiety has health workers threaten showdown. Find this is about on the front page of the Daily Sun. Government lacks knowledge to fix economy, says Atiku. No end in sight to to hardship. Find details of that on page 6 of the Daily Sun this morning. And weakest man floor Fubara. Judgment nullifying Rivers 2024 budget describes factional lawmakers' action illegal. Rivers government says court didn't restate defected lawmakers. So you find details of that on page 6 and 7 of the Daily Sun this morning. And still on the Daily Sun, NNPCL, a few marketers fight over 15 billion naira debt. Details of that you find on page 25 of the Daily Sun. Nigerian airlines in their financial crisis, says NCAA. Details of that is on page 23 of the Daily Sun. No soldier, civilian was attacked, killed in Lagos or Imo. That's according to the army. You find details of that on page 5 of the Daily Sun. And from page 7, PDP BOT demands NEC meeting over Rivers crisis and others. Details of that, I said, you find on page 7 of the Daily Sun this morning. And that will be all from the Daily Sun.
All right, from the Daily Sun, let's jump straight into the world of the Punch Sport Extra is here. In the front page of the Punch Sport Extra, 2025 African qualifier still in the show. Uyo ambush. Eagles target Knights Cup as nest of champions, and that's talking about the encounter later today. You also find NFF dismisses Libya captain's abuse claims. Chelsea face serious Osimhen challenge. Musa, welcome to Eagles anytime. That's coming from Ekong. You also find here in the front page of the Punch Sport Extra, Nadal to retire after Davis Cup finals. Ten Hag told Sack already decided. And of course, we're still looking out to what would be the fate of that. NBA, Lakers to focus on history, tickets not wins. And of course, in the Sporting Sun for today, the Sporting Sun has this on the African qualifiers. Lukman, Chukwueze, others risk ban. Super Eagles eyes maximum points against Libya. You also find one man talking right there. My plan for Libya. That's coming from Awoni. Kickoff 5 p.m. That's later today. Also here in the Sporting Sun, Neymar to splash £7 million and 6 acres of land. And Palmer crowned England Player of the Year, edges out Bellingham, Saka. And of course, the retirement of tennis greats is also in the front page of the Sporting Sun. Rafael Nadal retires from tennis. And of course, more for you right there in the Sporting Sun for today. And that's about the size of the reviews on the dailies that we have for you today. We'll take a break on the program and we'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you have acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. And they must know that nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it. Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you have acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. And they must know that nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it. Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. And they must know that nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it. Leadership is not a package. Here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. And they must know that nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's still here today on Osrc television, and of course the girl child is still in our attention today, and as always, it should be every day, shall it really? Because the global focus at this time is on the International Day of the Girl Child, and more importantly, for Africa, for Nigeria, because when you look at what the conversation and what the level of the rights of the girl child have been met in Africa, in Nigeria, there are still conversations around what more needs to be done, the areas which the government also needs to address. We've taken a look at the dailies this morning, and part of what you find is the spate of out-of-school children. And sadly, there's also a preponderance in the number of girl child that's among the number of out-of-school children that we have in Nigeria and even in different parts of the continent, of the world. And that also tells you that this needs critical attention. Aside from having girl child being part of those who are out of school, you also take a look at what the level of abuses they've also had to go through, some in terms of their rights, how much of their rights have been protected, how much of their rights have we also incorporated into religion, into culture, into society, to really say that yes, as well as we have boy child, we have girl child, there is a balance, there is some form of equity and equality in how we approach things that concern our children generally. And the International Day of the Girl Child, again, is bringing to fore
all this
the need.
discussion, yes.
I wouldn't know whether to say Happy Girl Child Day to Shadi this morning.
Oh, well,
would you accept that?
I still have a parent, so if you call me a girl child, well.
Definitely a girl child, regardless
So
if you want it or not.
I'm still a child to someone. All right, the International Day of the Girl Child is usually commemorated on 11th day of October, which started in the year 2012. The United Nations decided to pick that day to bring to fore all the issues as SIDE has brought forward, that is bedeviling the girl child, and to find possible means, of alleviating this, of making sure that the girl child lives in a society that is free of prejudices, discrimination, and equal opportunity for her to thrive. Though the number of school enrollment for the girl child has since increased, the rates, especially in primary school, has increased, yet we still have just 43% of girls. We still have just 60. We have 60%. Of out of school children that are girls. So that means we still have a long way to go. The margin is still wild. We still have 43% of girls married, before the age of 18. As we know that a number of cultural things come to play when it comes to most of these issues. For instance, the education of the girl child and child marriage, for instance. There was an incident that happened in Ondo State recently. A girl said she has been married off to a guy less than 12 years. She was less than 12 years, and she's had like 2 babies. The last one brought her to the hospital, and the man was not there to pay the fee. An NGO had to step in, try to settle her, get her to do something positive with her life, get an accommodation for her, and all of that, paid the hospital bills. But to the chagrin of everyone, this girl insisted she wanted to go back to the same man who has neglected her. So quite a lot still needs to be done for the girl child.
And when the conversation around the issue of child marriage comes into play, a lot of things also come into that circle, because part of those who are usually on the receiving end of child marriage are girls.
Yes.
And you look at the potential impact on society, you see that it's beyond comprehension, because you're giving out a girl child in marriage, very young age, gets
many health issues come with it.
Of course, many health issues, mental health particularly, gets disturbed. It appears we're also going to be continuing that circle of poverty. does not go to school. Eventually, perhaps when they also give birth to children, they're not able to take care of them. These children also become out of school children, and these children also become, you know, because they lack proper care, they also become miscreants, they also become danger to society. So when you put all of this together, it tells you that, just like it is often said, that when you focus on a woman, it's like you're focusing on a nation. It tells you that we need to really take critical step in that direction. Let's take a look at what the United Nations Children Education Fund said on this year's International Day of the Girl Child, as Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark this celebration. It is called for increased attention and support for girls' rights worldwide. The UNICEF Chief of Field Office for Southwest Nigeria, Celine Lafourier, emphasized the importance of empowering girls and ensuring their protection, respect, and equal opportunity. Let's take a look at part of what the figures are also telling us at this time as we take this commemoration of the International Day of the Girl Child, themed Girls' Vision for the Future. Part of what the figures tells us, particularly from UNICEF, it says it's an alarming statistic that has been discovered that 1 in 5 young women aged 20 and 25 were married as children, adding that 1 in 4 partnered or married adolescent girls have experienced sexual or physical abuse. And on a not so good side, globally, 75% of new HIV infections among adolescents occur in girls. 1 in 3 adolescent girls suffer from anemia, which is a form of malnutrition. And you know, the list goes on, tells you that there is a critical need to approach issues that also has to do with girl child, that have to do with girl child upbringing seriously in Nigeria, as a country like ours that are looking to also develop as fast as we can in different areas. You talk about technology, you talk about medicine, different fields of human endeavor. The fact that girls can do more, the fact that girls can, you know, excel just like the boys cannot be overemphasized.
Yes, the girls can excel just like the boys, really, and sometimes you wonder why are boys not married off early?
Some are actually married off early because
Boys?
on the other side, yes, it's a
Where?
twin.
I haven't heard of it.
It's a twin issue.
Okay.
You find boys, girls involved in child marriage.
And that's within the same age bracket.
Of course.
But now we're talking about a girl of less than 18 married off to a 50 or older than that.
That happens even whether it is with an older male or a younger male. The fact that they are not up to the age where they can make decisions. It talks about the fact that they have been engaged in child marriage. You look at what the lawmakers have said recently, that states in Nigeria that have not yet incorporated or domesticated the Child Rights Act should do so. And this is also part of the issues. You find some states in Nigeria, some of these laws and acts that protect children, you find them not, taking
they are infringed.
priority.
Okay, for instance, in Nigeria, we have this cultural diverse views, on issues. For instance, you're talking about laws made in place to protect the rights of the girl, especially against early marriage and all of that. But recently in the North, you remember the tussle between the Minister of Women Affairs and some states in the North where they were said to be ready to marry off some girls in mass marriage. What do we make of it? It is Nigeria. But when issues like this come up, we'll begin to give it religious coloration and then cultural colorations and all of that. This will not help us as a nation. We have to say to it that our girls are properly placed, in order to get to the peak of their potentials. Whatever it is they're called for, so that they can achieve the best and the nation will be better for it. I think we still have some other things to talk about.
Of course, on the other side of the conversation we have for you today, we'll be heading to take a look at what exactly will be going down in Akwa Ibom State, Uyo to be precise, the nest of champions, where the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be locking arms with their counterpart from Libya in the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. And we're being joined on the program virtually via the phones by a sports who will be speaking to us on the counter that's going to be happening later today. Mr. Isaac Afolabi, thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you so much, Zach. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes, 5 p.m. We understand that's the kickoff for that encounter between Nigeria and Libya. Tell us more. Perhaps before we go into that encounter, we read in the papers this morning that some journalists who were on the way to cover that particular encounter were kidnapped. But lucky enough, we also heard that they've been released. What comes to mind when you have this kind of incident happening? Because I understand that you've also been on the road to different parts of the country for encounters for sports coverage. Tell us.
Let me start by confirming what you just said. That yesterday the ugly story filtered in, and some journalists were actually traveling. The game today, this is the third game in the African qualifier, Nigeria against the Mediterranean Knights of Libya. It's definitely going to be a very, very crunchy encounter, although we've been having a smooth run against the Libyans. But, in football, you can't say, you can't just predict and go to bed. You have to fix that match like it's a final. Remember, the Ghanaians are not having it very, very rosy now. If you're talking about football in Africa, of course, Ghana is not a country to push aside, but, they've been having a poor run. So Nigeria at the moment, I know, yes, we are doing well. We won our last game. We have been carrying.
Talking about what to expect, but perhaps we'll take a critical look at that team and what the lead, that's the Osrc led team, would be showing Nigerians later today. You talk about on paper, it looks like Nigeria should carry the day, but by virtue of your experience that we don't play football on paper. Just yesterday we had Greece defeat England in that match. So it tells you that regardless of what is on paper, what happens on the pitch really is what will be the focus. So for you, what are the areas to really take note of heading into this encounter in terms of the lessons we've learned in the last qualifier, heading into this one happening later today?
Yes, the last. It was a nice defeat for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They defeated the Benin Republicans, coached by our former manager. I think one of the areas that Coach Eguavon should really, really work on is the midfield. We realized that in the last game against Benin Republic, the midfield, had some kind of lapses. Ndidi for himself was overworked. At a particular time, if you watch the game very well, Ndidi was even sending a signal to the bench, for replacement. That means that he was overloaded. So I think we should work on that. And again, converting our scoring chances. That's another area that we should work on. The bulk of the job should not be placed on a particular player. If you watch the game very well, the last game we played against the Republic, you realize that the substitution, by the manager, bringing in, Victor Osimhen actually gave us goal opportunity. So that means that yes, we should not. The coaches should have more tactics. I listened to Coach Osrc and he said something very profound. He said that he has all the tactics, put in place and the necessary players to prosecute this game. So I want to believe in him with more than 120 million Nigerians that yes, they have all. In the goalkeeping department, I think we are fine. We have Nwabali in the between the sticks. He's been doing very well. So I think where we should work on very well is the midfield and in the striking position. The strikers should not be selfish. They should be able to create chances for themselves and they should not waste time. Get just goals. That's why I like the Brazilians. If the Brazilians can score 20 goals in a particular match, they will go ahead and score. So at the end of the game, at the end of everything, this is a qualifier. Every point counts.
All right,
counts. So everything counts. Counts. And they must be able to cover their chances.
Boniface, I'd just like to ask, because you've mentioned quite a number of players that will be featuring in that match. What are your expectations of Victor Boniface? Which players do you expect to be on the starting lineup?
Yes, first and foremost, I must tell you that he's a guy that grows up in Akure here, so we are always proud of him. But a lot is expected from him. And the last.
Yes, please. Mr. Falabi, are you still with us? Okay, I think we lost touch with Mr. Isaac Falabi on that. But today, our Nigerians are waiting to watch Nigerians play the Libyans today and see how far that will go. The Super Eagles have had a great start. For their campaign, they've got a 3-0 win against the Benin Republic, a goalless draw against Rwanda, and we're looking forward for them to continue the momentum against Libya. They struggled in the qualifiers so far, but then we're hoping that they keep up the momentum. And one of those players the Nigerians actually would love to see may not be present, will not even me, because it's certain that Victor Osimhen would not be on that match. And that's my favorite of the players.
Unfortunately.
And it's the reason why I would want to watch most times.
Of course,
Nigeria play.
but as it stands, Victor Osimhen will not be in that encounter later today. And of course, other players who will be on the pitch will also have the responsibility to carry out the task of ensuring that Nigeria really wins convincingly in that particular encounter. Because just like Mr. Isaac Afolabi has said, that on paper we look good to go, but the matches will be played, or the match will be played on the pitch. But we're also hoping that the home advantage will also count, particularly in this encounter for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Looking at the fact that it's a familiar tough for the national team players, that's the nest of champions in Uyo. So we're expecting that we'll be able to go on and, of course, get that victory for Nigeria to see that we move ahead in the tables, in the qualifiers tables, and, of course, get the ticket to participate in the Africa Cup of Nations 2025. So we'll try as much as possible to reconnect with Mr. Isaac Afolabi, who is also the Vice Chairman of the Sport Writers Association of Nigeria in Ondo State, here to get his thoughts, whether he would also be making it down to Oyo for that particular encounter later today, and of course some of those who are likely to be on the score sheet, because football is about 3 points. It's about getting the goals. It's about winning. So who are we going to be expecting to get the goals for Nigeria, and some of the last-minute decisions that Coach Augustine Eguavon will have to take? He has said that the coach has the full list to an extent. He has his full squad, those who he wants to have in camp. He has them for himself. So it remains to be seen how these players will line up later today, 5 p.m. Nigerian time, for that particular encounter right there in Oyo, Akwa Ibom State. So we're still trying to reconnect with Mr. Isaac Afolabi, but of course it's about the green-white green jersey later today. So if you were, will you be out to watch that match? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yes, you're putting me on the spot, really. But then moments of sports, is one of those moments that usually binds Nigerians together. That Nigerians forget where they are from. They don't want to think about their cultural differences, religious differences, and all of that. When it's time for sport, every Nigerian seems to be simply Nigeria. I wish we could just translate that attitude to when it comes to politics as well.
Yes, hoping that that unity,
spirit,
that spirit of unity that we'll get when it's time for sports, gets transferred to other facets of our lives as a country, as Nigerians, as a people, because really the strength in unity, just on the back of the 64th Independence Day celebration, these are some of the messages we heard from different sectors of different section of the society, that there is need for us to unite as a people. There's also need for us to come together to ensure that we raise the bar for our country. We're now joined again by Mr. Isaac Afolabi, the Vice Chairman of the Sport Writers Association of Nigeria in Ondo State. Thank you for rejoining us on the program, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just to finish my thought on my point the other time. I said a lot has been expected from Victor Boniface because yes, he's been doing well for his club Bayer Leverkusen in Germany, and virtually all our players, our strikers, yes, they are doing well with their respective clubs. Lukman is also doing well as well for his club, so we're expecting a lot of them to come to play this evening and get us the 3 points against Libya.
So you talk about Osrc having the full complement of those we would want in camp. What are some of the surprises we are likely to see? Do you think we're likely to see in the lineup for this particular encounter? Any surprise?
Yes, first and foremost, I think Coach Austin Eguavon is enjoying the support of everyone. He's been enjoying the support, first and foremost, from the Nigerian Football Federation, which is nice. The encouragement is there for him. The fans are also supporting him, and of course the player. I think there's this stability, this unity in the camp of the Super Eagles at the moment. If you watch some of their videos, their training sessions, and the rest of it, you notice that there's no division. There's this kind of stability in that team, which is nice. That's one of the things that propel teams psychologically to get points. For me, I think players that we should be expecting this evening, of course, Wilfred Unity should be in the midfield. We should expect the likes of the vice captain, Tros Ekong, of course, Shemilo Ajayi. Also, we should expect the likes of Umar Bali to be in the goal post. Of course, we should expect Boniface and Lukman. Also, Deli Bashu. These are some of the players that I'm so certain that will be in that team first leg of this evening against Libya.
Okay, if I may ask, what do you think? What's your prediction of the match for today? What would it be? Prediction?
Not on paper, on the pitch.
Yes, on the pitch.
Okay, my prediction, right?
Yes.
3 points now and travel on Tuesday. Remember, we're going to play Libya in a return leg on Tuesday in Benghazi. So if we should be able to get a 3 point here and at least 3 or 1 point, my brother, I think we are a little bit closer to the next AFCON.
We have also seen, before we let you go, we've also seen Nigeria International doing so well on the global stage this season. Are you in doubt of any form that the scare about the possibility of maybe having injuries could hold some of these players from giving their 100% in this encounter?
A lot of Nigerian players have been doing well for their respective. Watching and following the leagues, the Bundesliga, the Italian Serie A, the Germans, and the German league, and the rest, you notice that yes, there's a little of reports of injury for Nigerian players. If not for recent that Victor Osimhen had a knock in his present club in Turkey. Most of our players are playing very well, and I think they have been able to manage themselves very well. Because when playing for your club and country, you must be able to manage yourself very well and ensure that you are careful. Playing for your club and playing for your country. Yes, the season has been very, very busy for most of the players. Some of them played in like 2 championships. In the Champions League, the Europa, and of course in their respective club. But I think most of our players now, they are not nursing injury, which is a plus. For us, we've had so much challenge in the past where Nigerian players will have injury, and they will not be able to participate, and that will affect us in our participation in many tournaments. That reminds me of when Nick Enubi had injury at a particular time, was not able to play for Nigeria in World Cup. It affected us. It affected our play. So this time around, I think lack of injury in the midst of our players is a plus for the Super Eagles.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Isaac Afolabi. I wouldn't know if you're on the way to Akwa Ibom, Uyo State, or it will be next time. Are you?
Sorry, can you come again, please?
I wouldn't know if you're currently on your way to Akwa Ibom at this time, or you'll be catching that match from the diaspora.
Oh, I'm trying to release.
Okay. I'm trying to know if you'll be watching that match from the diaspora, or if you're already in Akwa Ibom at this time.
Oh yes, I'll be watching it. Anyway, I'll definitely watch the game. As a football fan, as a sports fan, let me put it that way.
Okay.
It's our responsibility, that's what we do. That's our own contribution to nation growth. So we'll definitely watch the game and support the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
All right, support. That's what we're hoping for. That's what we're hoping that the Super Eagles of Nigeria will get when they will lock arms with their Libyan counterparts later today. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac Afolabi, the Vice Chairman, Sport Writers Association of Nigeria, Ondo State, for talking to us on the program this morning. And of course, we wish your darling team, our darling team, such as Super Eagles of Nigeria. Such as that is coming to my mind.
Also, our team will always continue to support the Social Stars. Thank you so much, Zain, and thank you to your co-presenter. I'm grateful for the privilege.
You're welcome.
All right. So that's about it. You've heard the need for you to support Nigeria later today, 5 p.m. Nigerian time against Libya. Maybe we get our streets painted in green, white, green. Just put aside the issue of the fuel hike and of course the tensions.
But that's one thing that could also affect the patriotism in watching the matches. Because if there is no power supply, trust Nigerians before this time, they would make sure to buy fuel in their generators to power it. But as it stands now, would Nigerians be able to comfortably buy fuel to power their generators to watch the match?
Let's hope that the love of country will see people go extra mile to ensure that they catch up with this game. Because it's also, for some persons, getting to soak in the pressure of a football match could be a way to relax and take their minds off all of these economic realities that we've been confronted with. So let's hope that the Super Eagles of Nigeria will have an interesting encounter later today, right there with you. And of course, from here, we're wishing them all the best. That's it. So Let's head back to Ondo State, since we've decided to go to Uyo this morning to take a look at what is happening with the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Just yesterday, ahead of the November 16 governorship election in Ondo State, and of course the conversation around campaigns not really taking the form they should take in terms of all of the activities, the bubbles that we have in times past heading into elections such as this. Just yesterday, the Ondo State Governor, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, inaugurated the Campaign Council Committee of the All Progressives Congress for Ondo State heading into that election later in November 16. And Director General has emerged of that Campaign Council for Ondo State, and it's the
Honorable Abiola Makinde.
Yes, the House of Representative member representing Ondo East and West in the Green Chamber. It will be leading the Campaign Council for Ondo State APC. And of course, we also understand that they're set to hit the road fully in terms of the campaign activities itself in full swing later tomorrow. That's where we have the flag off of the campaign here in Ondo State, and it's going to be happening in Ondo City. So that's on one side. We also have other political parties who are also, heightening the momentum for the campaigns heading into this election. But in the mix of this, it's also what the electorate, what questions the electorate will be asking. But when you look at the campaign council that the APC in Ondo State has put out, it appears to also be one that has incorporated both the new, the young, and the old, those who we refer to as the elders in the scheme of things.
Talking about some of the elders, you have someone like Honorable Femi Agagu, being the Deputy Director General for the South, in that campaign team. And he was once the Commissioner for Education in the state and all of that. And so many notable names that we have on that list. So you can expect the best for the APC as we progress in the campaign strategies.
All right, all the best to them. That's what we'll say from here. For the electorate is also to ask critical questions heading into this election beyond all of the jamborees that comes with campaign and all of that. So let's hope that issues will also be at the front burner of campaign activities for all of the political parties heading into this election. And that's where we say our buys on the program this morning. We've been able to also bring you up to speed with developments in Nigeria. And hey, whether it's the inability to get fuel, trekking, whether it's the inability to get certain things done, even if it is hunger, do well to keep up alive, and of course strengthen your resolve to go by every day. I'm Saeed Aribisala. Enjoy your Friday, the weekend.
As I think our Jane said to say, do well to keep hope alive, because tomorrow then will be a better day. I'm Fala Shadi. We just saying enjoy the rest of the weekend.